Am I the asshole for refusing to give my neighbor a key to my storm shelter? So, I recently moved to a new city for work, and one of the perks of the house I bought is that it comes with a storm shelter out back. Tornadoes are pretty common here, and having a shelter felt like a nice safety net, except I didn't exactly need it for that. I'm into woodworking, and since the shelter was just sitting there filled with empty soda cans, cigarette butts, and some old magazines featuring naked women, not mine by the way, I figured it was time for a makeover. I cleaned it out, redecorated, set up my tools, and added a lock to the door so I could keep my equipment safe. A few days later, my neighbor came knocking. He seemed nice enough at first, but then he started asking why I locked the door to the shelter. Apparently, for the last 10 years, his teenage sons had been using it as a sort of playhouse, which honestly explained the condition I found it in. I had no idea anyone had been using it, and I explained that it was now my workshop. I suggested they build something of their own or maybe set up a space for the kids, but no way was I letting them hang out around all my tools. I said no, end of story, except it wasn't. The next day, the same neighbor came back, but this time he said it wasn't about his kids. He wanted a key for himself. His family doesn't have a storm shelter, and for the past decade they've been relying on access to the one in my backyard whenever there's a tornado. He asked if I'd give him a key, just in case of an emergency. I thought about it for a second, but declined. I told him that I'd be more than happy to let them in if the sirens go off and we're all home, but I wasn't comfortable giving out a key. He seemed annoyed and asked, "But what if you're not home? Do we just die in the tornado?" I mean, yeah, it sounds bad, but honestly, it's my property, right? I don't know these people well, and I don't feel like it's my responsibility to be their backup tornado shelter just because they've used it before. It's a woodworking shop now, and there's valuable stuff in there. Plus, if I give them a key, what's to stop their kids from sneaking back in when I'm not around? Fast forward to now, and I'm starting to feel the heat. Apparently, my neighbor made some vague post in the community's social media group about neighbors helping neighbors and how some people don't know how to be part of the community. It's clearly aimed at me, and now I'm getting side-eye from some of the other neighbors. I've even had someone stop me while I was out to ask why I can't just be a good neighbor and let them have access. So Reddit. Am I the asshole for not giving my neighbor a key to my storm shelter? It's my property, and I don't feel comfortable handing out a key to someone I barely know. But at the same time, I get it. They're scared of tornadoes, and maybe I'm being too strict.